let's face it. It is hard to program ourselves to believe something that we really haven't seen very often in sport. I mean, really with anything, but particularly pertaining to sport now. And, it works both ways. Like, there's been years, and I know this obviously as a Yankee fan, where with all the championships, 3 in the 90s, the 2000s against the Mets, and obviously in 09 as well against the Phillies. But anytime there was any wow, this is a tough series, the Yanks will find a way. That the Yankees, all the championships, but the aura of the Yankees, they'll find a way. And we've done that with other teams. The Warriors will find a way. The Lakers will find a way. The Celtics will find a way. The Niners with Montana, right? They'll find a way. And the opposite is we kind of look at teams like the Cardinals and the Browns, teams that are both very good right now, but no real great history recently, for sure. And we almost look for reasons not to believe what we're seeing, and not to latch on to what's a great story. Obviously, 4 weeks into the season, that is by far, for me, the most impressive, surprising win, most resounding win. We got to take the Cardinals completely seriously right now. Yeah. Like Super Bowl seriously.
I agree,
right now.
BT. A week ago, we were chalking up the Rams as potentially one of the best teams in the National Football League with how good they were playing offensively with Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods there. Obviously, Matt Stafford now the quarterback with Sean McVay's offensive system. It was like, what can they not do? And look at this defense. It's amazing with Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey and all those other parts on all three levels of that team. They clearly were the best team in football. At least that was what we thought in our mind. They got worked in this game, BT, and it wasn't even close. This game was 37-13 before they got a garbage touchdown and made it, less than 20, on the final ticker here. The Arizona Cardinals, we had some doubts. Is Cliff Kingsbury really that guy? I know he's got a great offensive mind. He had the Rookie of the Year in Kyler Murray. But, without Kyler, and if Kyler gets hampered by any stretch, can they really be that type of team?
Could they run the ball effectively?
Yeah, right? Could they run it?
Yep.
I mean, I know James Conner is there now, but it was Chase Edmonds who put up 120 yards. They were the most balanced team I've seen in a long time, both offensively and defensively, and in a game on the road that they had to win to exercise themselves in this division. You got to give them an A++ for how they played on the road in this game. And Kyler Murray wasn't even exceptional. I mean, he was good.
No, he was good. I hear you.
It was everything. The Rams had no answers. This was a complete team blowout of one of the best teams, at least we thought, one of the best teams in the NFL on the road. It was impressive.
They're still one of the best teams in the NFL. I have no doubts that the Rams will find a way to flush this a little bit here and learn from it and get better, provided they stay healthy. In a lot of ways, the Cardinals, maybe somewhat unintentionally, maybe with a little desperation, not trying to discredit them, but in a lot of ways, they've managed to construct the most enviable type of roster, and that is one with clearly defined ascending players, and we know who they are. Obviously, started with the quarterback, some sage veteran voices, but also some veterans with something to prove. Some role like AJ Green. Like AJ Green's got a little something to prove in terms of, you know what I mean? Like, is his career over, or is he going to have a meaningful second act here? And I think when you throw that all together, it's incredibly potent. It's incredibly viable. I think the only thing that I think offers a little historical, and I'm sure I'm going to omit some examples unintentionally, but like for me, ideally, if I have a young coach, I want the veteran quarterback.
Yes.
If I have vice versa, they have young, and not that you can't win with that, but there's just some more hurdles that will present themselves that will make it maybe a little bit more challenging. But the Cardinals are locked and loaded, man. They're a show. They're a show that you want to watch.
Yeah, I agree. And you talk about some of those guys that are there to proved themselves. Let's forget Chandler Jones, who had 5 sacks in a game and hasn't had a sack since, because obviously that's what becomes a focal point of opposing offenses. But let's not forget, Chandler Jones was trying to bounce. Like, he was trying to, I'm not getting any respect here. I want a new deal. Get me out of here. He's got something to prove, whether it's for his long-term stay in Arizona or whether it's somewhere else. He's not too old. And so when you see that, when you see how these guys play with an urgency on both sides of the ball, you can tell that it's not just for the coach. It's obviously individuals want to have great games and great seasons, but collectively they play so well together. And when I think about this division now, which is one of the best in football, the Seattle Seahawks obviously got a big win against the San Francisco 49ers, who may be in trouble again because Jimmy Garoppolo has the calf, and Trey Lance came in and did absolutely nothing.
He looked.
I mean, look, he's a rookie.
He looked rough.
He's a rookie. All these rookies are struggling right now. None of them are really ready. Maybe Mac Jones after what he looked last night. But
I thought the rookies had a great day yesterday outside of Trey Lance. I thought everybody really quit. Even going back to the Trevor Lawrence game on Thursday, they didn't win, but I thought he looked really good. I thought the rookies had by far their best day, not even close.
No doubt. Obviously, Zach Wilson for the Jets, as we just mentioned, he got the win, which was a huge game for him because he played so well. But when I think
Justin Fields played well.
But the point is about this division.
Yeah.
This division is going to be no pushovers, except now maybe the 49ers if Jimmy Garoppolo is banged up and Trey Lance has to play. Man. The Seattle Seahawks, they can score. They got stymied in the first half, and all of a sudden they just exploded. Russell Wilson turns into Russell Wilson, and Arizona we just talked about. It's one of those divisions that has everything going. The Rams, I mean, they're going to rebound from this, I believe, but every team has an opportunity. And right now, we look at the Cardinals, and they're sitting atop, and they feel like they're in control.
Teague, when I say to you the teams that garner the most belief, in terms of being able to win a championship this year, going into this week, if I said it was the Bucs and the Rams, would you say that those were the two teams most people would identify with, big picture?
I mean, I think so. I mean, the Bucs obviously were vulnerable because they lost last week to the Rams.
Yep.
But it's Tom Brady. And yes, they have some injury issues right now, but still, it's Tom Brady, right? Until he gets knocked out of the postseason, you're going to consider them somewhat Super Bowl viable. Maybe not the top contender, but you will consider them viable. The Rams were definitely one. Top defense, top offense, great play caller, great head coach and Sean McVay. Of course they were in that conversation.
Yep, okay. I just wanted to make sure we were on the same premise, establish that. No, there's no question. Those were the two teams. There's other teams, obviously. Again, this is the mindset going into this previous week.
Yep.
Got to watch out for the Bills. Got to watch out for the Browns. Don't write off the Chiefs, even though they're 1-2 going into yesterday. Obviously, Dallas is becoming more and more viable, and other teams I'm omitting unintentionally. The point is that the two teams that were probably perceptually ahead of everybody else in the league. So one of them lost yesterday, and they just got smacked, as you said, in the process at home. Okay, that's the kind of loss that makes you reassess. Just not that they can't reassert themselves, but at least right now, really where they are. And you mentioned the injuries to the Bucs, but that's kind of glossing over it. Their secondary, first of all, Mac Jones was the best quarterback on the field last night.
No doubt.
He had 19 completions at one point, which is the Patriots' record. And, I mean, we saw this the first game when their quarterbacks fractured his arm, the first game of the season. They had more injuries in the secondary last night. How many more bodies could they trot out off the practice squad to play secondary for the Bucs? Point being, yes, it was a bit of a transitional day in the NFL.
Yeah, I think
what
you're right.
You thought going in, I don't know that you can necessarily subscribe to as confidently right now. Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
You're right. Sean Murphy Bunting is who you're thinking about, yep. BT. They got hurt, and then obviously they had injuries yesterday, so that you're forced to start Richard Sherman off the street.
Yeah, and they went right at him, too. Right away, they went at him. Right at him.
He wasn't playing all year.
Nope.
It's not like we're end of training camp. We're going to sign you off the street. 3 games in, you're signing a dude off the street, and he's got to play right away. Giovanni Bernard, he was out in this game. Rob Gronkowski is the biggest one. We heard that news came down right when right before the game started. He has fractured ribs and punctured lung. I mean, he could be out a month. Now, obviously, they did okay without him, but Brady didn't look the same. So you're right, BT. The expectations have to shift for a lot of these teams. For the Bucs because of the injury issue, but for the Rams because they got beat up at home and it wasn't even really competitive for most of that game. So I think you're right about that.
The next thing I want to see now, and this is not going to play itself out in a 3 or 4 minute conversation, but the next step, the next phase here for the Cardinals is how do you handle prosperity?
Yeah, you're right. And that's hard. They got to win the games convincingly that they're supposed to win. And the team that's done that the last couple of weeks is the Bills. Even though they blew out the Texans and it wasn't a competitive game, they were supposed to beat the Texans and they beat them convincingly, right, at home. Same thing can be said about how they beat the Miami Dolphins. I mean, it's they score 70. Now 75
40
points.
And 35, 75.
Yep, 75 points in 2 games and giving up 0?
Yes.
I mean, that's pretty damn impressive, man.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Washington football team was in between there, and I think they didn't give up 0. But a lot of those, the points for Washington 2 weeks ago, or two games ago, were kind of lucky. Like one was a screen and one was I forget what the other score was, but their defense has been playing elite. Mm-hmm. The Arizona Cardinals, for me to believe in them, even though they're 4-0, they had a convincing win on the road, is for them to have games like Miami coming up this week, like Philadelphia,
smack them
and take care of business convincingly.
Yeah. Yes.
I don't want to say I don't need the college blowout. But I need them not to have doubt in my mind watching them play.
It's a great point. Assert yourselves early. Come out and have a nice impress. Score fast. Yes. Okay. Again, this isn't like the old days where you got to pile on for the rankings. You don't have to win 43-3, but just by the middle of the third quarter, you flip on the game or you're bouncing around the red zone. Whomever the Cardinals are playing that's deemed to be inferior, they've got to drop back and pass because they're down multiple scores. They've got to abandon the run, and you could just sense that there's urgency and almost like, okay, the Cardinals have controlled the tone of this game really from the opening kick, and that's. That's where a veteran coach comes in. That's where a veteran quarterback comes in. And again, they've got other veterans, but some of those guys are new. And how do you really, not that you can't police against that proactively and preemptively as a new guy on the team, but generally you want it to come from, either the quarterback or the head coach. And both of those components are still young and developing. So, I mean, they're very interesting. They're very talented, and they just smoked a team that was on the short list, absolute short list for best teams in the NFL.
Yeah, I think
resounding win.
I think I said Miami. They play San Francisco next, but without their quarterback, they should be able to. They should take care of business in that game.
They should.
They are one of 2 now undefeated teams left. And Las Vegas plays tonight against the Chargers in a game that's not going to be easy for them, obviously. So you have to give them credit simply because they haven't lost a game. But for me going forward, it's going to be how they continue to win that's going to determine whether or not I really fully believe in them come down to close to playoff time.
Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell to be notified when we drop fresh content.